Our last and final guest will be tying it all together with very, very practical tips where he'll be leading us through how to actually reframe our beliefs when we're going through things that cause us grief, that make us feel like a disappointment or a failure. He's going to use positive psychology tips to help us do that. He is Simon, which is the co-founder of Happiness Initiative, a social enterprise that focuses on science of happiness. Having gone through a downward spiral before finding his true passion and purpose, Simon will share practical tips to build resilient skills by understanding how to reframe one's beliefs in order to find hope even through difficult times. So without further ado, can you give one last applause for Simon?
Hello, hi everyone. Hi. Hello, hi. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Ray. Hi everyone.
Hi.
It's not a very good time now, right? We only have 15 minutes.
Okay.
We are between.
Maybe 20 minutes.
We are between them and the party.
What's the party?
There's a party going on outside. Have you not noticed it?
We are having our own party.
So every time when someone opened up the door, right, you could hear them dancing. If you need happiness, that's one way to get it. Definitely. Right.
I think there's short-term happiness and long-term happiness. We need both. It depends.
We are really not sure if they're having their long-term happiness or not. Yeah. If the mic is too soft, I just like.
I think we're okay.
Yeah, okay.
We're okay, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, Simon, I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad to have you on.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, and I think that, as we heard the guests speak, all of us, I think we've been through downward spirals before. We've been through tough times. So before you bring our audience through the activity backed by positive psychology, I'd like to ask you, what was one of your toughest moments and how do you get out of it?
Okay. So how Ray got connected with me, right, was really because you were reading my blog, right?
Yes, correct.
You're reading one of the blogs that I wrote, yeah. But then before that, I just want to maybe, for all the work that we have done, right, sometimes we run workshops or we do talks and we get on stage and we think that we know everything, right, because we have studied it before. I would just want to put the disclaimer out there that actually the person who knows and will have answers are yourself, right? So I have no answers. I could only share with you what I know about research, but I think you yourself, right, would know best what decision to make. So at the end of the day, if you think that at the this session you will learn, or I'm here to teach you something, I'm not here to teach you something. I'm just only here to maybe facilitate a conversation, right?
With yourself.
Yeah, with yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So good. So maybe a bit of there were two toughest moments. One of the toughest moments was like maybe now it's 2023.
Yeah.
Maybe 2011. That was one tough moment. Another tough moment was after I came back from US. So which one?
Which one is tougher? Well, maybe which one motivated you to study positive psychology as well?
Let's talk about the one in 2011. So 2011, right? I think I was severely burnt out. Yeah, so I left then I was in education. So I left education, I resigned. Then I went to join another education institution. Then I resigned in 6 months again. So I was feeling pretty lost, right? And quite depressed, I think. And I remember going to see a psychiatrist. Interestingly, when you see a psychiatrist, almost immediately in the first session, they will spend time talking to you, right? And almost immediately, they will prescribe you medication.
Oh.
Almost. Because, when you see a psychiatrist, it's their power. They are doctors, they have the power to prescribe medication, and that's usually one of the first things that they would do.
It seems a bit early on,
Yeah,
but
for
okay.
a first session, right? So
Okay.
after I talked to him, then I say, no, and he actually told me that, oh, Simon, you're pretty rational. You could actually rationalize all these thoughts. But there's still a but I'm going to prescribe you some medication. I said, no, you already said that I'm quite rational, right? Then why don't you just go through the therapy with me? And then he said, oh, it's because I think it's going to be quite expensive. Because a referral was made to him, and my friend, when he made the referral to him, right, kind of told him that I was out of jobs, and he was charging then at 2011 $500 an hour. Because he's a top-notch, top-notch
therapy
psychiatrist.
is expensive, and that's honestly that's why a lot of people that I'm sure are struggling with their mental health, they don't have access to help because it's too expensive for them.
Yeah, and he was based in a very up-class location quite near here. Okay, guess where? Huh? I'm not going to tell you where. Okay, so then after that conversation, right? I said, how many sessions do you think I need to feel better? So he said 10 sessions. So I make my calculation, 10 sessions, or maybe 20. I think he said 20, 10, 20. I think I still could afford about $10,000. So, but when I went out, so the nurse was there trying to make the second appointment, right? So then I was thinking to myself, do I really want to spend $10,000, you know, like seeing him and coming to this place again? Why don't I just spend $10,000 traveling? So immediately, right, I went out of the place, I went to Ion, which is also quite near, right? And I just went up to the top floor. One of the floor, I found an SQ office. I'm not sure it's still there or not, okay? But then in 2011, it was there. So I just went and I bought a ticket, you know, off from the counter. So I just said, I just want to go. And my friend then was just sharing with me that he was doing a homestay in France, right?
Wow.
I think it was quite cool. Okay, let's buy France, okay? Because I bought the ticket, it was an open jaw. It was very expensive, right? But I thought, you know, reference point, right? $10,000, and I'm paying $2,500 for an air ticket. I think it's a quarter of the cost. I paid for it, and I got an open jaw ticket for a year. Yeah, so I could fly off from Singapore, and it's open jaw. It means that I could use the ticket anywhere for the 1 year, and that was the turning point. Yeah, so that was a turning point.
Why was it a turning point? Is it because you put yourself in a different environment?
Okay, so this is my research interest, right? I came up with this idea that a lot of times when we are having the downward spiral, there's just so much conversation in our head, right? We just go, you know, one thing leads to another.
Yes,
and
yes.
when you visit the same places that kind of trigger you, it could be a breakup with someone, right? It could be, your job. But every time you either in the same space, you are seeing your same colleagues or ex-colleagues of people working, it brings back all these thoughts.
It makes sense. And Singapore is so small.
Yeah.
You go everywhere, you see a trigger.
Yeah. So everywhere you see a trigger, right? So then the idea that I had was that, years later, when you travel overseas, your schema are totally different. Okay, I use a very technical term, right? Okay, but I cannot find a replacement. You know, there's all these schema that you see, and it creates the world. Because once you go to a different place, you speak a different language. You're forced. And I went to like a village in France, and they don't speak English for nuts, even though they understand, right? But you try and speak English to them, they'll get really upset. So you just have to speak whatever French that you could speak with them.
And you're sort of like forced to think a different way, because in the downward spiral, you are going through thoughts after thoughts of the same thoughts. And you're reminded of the same thoughts, but when you're in a different country, when you break, you say different schema, right? Basically, you're forced to speak a different language. You're forced to do something different and not that downward spiral. So that is better.
Yes, the food that you eat, you know, like aperitif. What aperitif? So when I was in France, right, they had a party, they had aperitif. I thought, okay, that was for dinner. After I finished all the aperitif, right, then my host would tell me, oh, now let's do the starter. Huh? Didn't we just spend an hour eating and drinking? And that's just like a warm-up.
Oh my gosh.
So
So
it's a 6 hour. It's usually in France, if they host you, right, it's usually a 6 hour dinner. So be prepared.
My only question is, how do you speak
totally
for 6
changed.
hours? No, but I agree. I don't know about the schema thing. It does make sense to me now. I'm probably going to research that after this. But I agree that traveling.
That research is not out yet.
No, I mean, I just want to Google the word.
Okay. Oh yeah. I'm working on it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I just need to Google the word. But after you release the research, please let us know.
Okay. Thank you so much.
It will be on your blog, right?
Yes,
okay.
yes, I
but
hope
I was
so.
gonna say that like traveling really gives you perspective.
Yeah,
I agree because when I'm in the same space that I've been all this while, you're surrounded by the same people, the same advice, the same things. But when you're in a different country, you're taught to learn things. You're like a fresh start, a fresh piece of paper.
Yeah.
You have to find ways to color that fresh piece of paper, and you see things from a different perspective. You see through how people live their lives, how they are so joyful with the little things that they have, and that kind of reminds you, inspires you to see life differently as well.
Yeah.
And that's my experience from traveling.
Yeah, thanks. And for that, just put a caveat to this, right? Please do not, if you are seeing a therapist, please do not tomorrow go and tell your therapist, I'm going for a holiday. Thank you. Thank you so much, okay? So please...
Simon, responsible for many therapists
Then
lose job.
you just point it to us because we told you so, yeah. So I think at the end of the day, you have to search within yourself. Because at that point, right, I don't think that medication was the only thing that is going to help, right? And I also didn't think that he was a good match. You know, a lot of times when we see a therapist, it's always about the good match, right? And I didn't think that he was a good match because he was just looking through all his paper, just writing all that,
There was no
not
connection.
having eye connection, and then all he cares about is whether I could pay him his hourly fee or not. Come on. Come on.
So I think this brings us beautifully to the exercise that I hope that you guys have been through, because the thing is, sometimes maybe therapy is too big a step, right? Maybe at this point in time we don't have the money to do so. So what is the first step we can do with the practical tips that you can share? I understand that there is a reframing technique that helps you quite a bit in your low moments as well. Can you share what that is and how we can use it? So I don't know why people are smiling. Oh yeah, okay. Sorry.
Sam will help. Oh, thanks, Sam. Thank you.
Oh, this is unpack this.
Yeah. Okay. We are gonna just try this. Okay.
Don't worry.
I'm very,
do we have
very
5
mindful.
minutes, everybody?
I'm very mindful of me stopping you from the party that's going on.
Nobody mentioned the party until you.
No,
Nobody mentioned the party.
It's just up
Is it
in my
because
mind.
you want to go to the party?
You are reading my mind.
Actually, no. Simon came from the party.
No, I wanted to, but I think I may sound too exciting. Okay, if I do get a bottle of drinks, right? So I thought, let's do this first. Then
the party.
Then the Heineken.
Okay. Only
then the Heineken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us through, yes.
Okay, let's try this, okay? Let's do a 2 minutes activity, just 2 minutes, right? Pick any one of the negative emotions that you recently felt, okay? And maybe turn to the person on your left and right, or left or right, and maybe share. If you're alone, right, please don't talk to yourself because that would be scary, okay? Just turn to someone behind you or just, I know we are very inclusive people. If there's a couple and there's a third person who want to talk to us, welcome them, right? Okay, don't say, hey, we are a couple, we are talking about okay? So.
Oh my God, what's that?
Oh, I know the time is up. Thank you for that beep.
Oh, that's you Oh my God, that's so scary.
No, it's not a beep that you're sending to us. Okay, we got it.
No, nothing happened.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So let's try this, okay? Let's just take 2 minutes and then maybe share something that you are sharing. If it's a couple, don't start a drama here, okay? So just share something that is comfortable to be shared, okay? Something that just recently happened. Okay, 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. Pick one. Turn to your friend left and right. Yeah. Try. You know how long had passed already?
I don't know.
It's actually 5 minutes have passed. Yeah, even though I said 2 minutes, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Can you see that time flies when you're telling someone your negative emotion, right? So if you need time to pass faster at work, tell your bosses your negative emotion. Yeah. So now, as you shared this negative emotion, right? We actually don't have time to go through the whole sequence, okay? There's no time, but the good thing is that you can actually get one of the games online on Happiness Initiative website, or you could actually answer something and you could have one of these, okay? Now, Now, see, a lot of times we think that an event, you must have shared something about an event and a negative emotion. You must have shared something about something happened, that's why it leads to this event. What is now important for us is like, just take a minute, okay? We are going to give each other a minute. What were you thinking that led to that emotion? Okay, you don't have to share with someone else, but how about your own internal reflection? You shared an event, you shared, with someone your negative emotion. What were you thinking?
What was the thought, right?
Yeah, what was the thought? What was some of the belief that you have, or what were you thinking? Okay, let's give ourselves a minute, and for some of us to kind of gather some courage, raise your hand. If you are ready later, not now, okay, don't fight for it, okay, because we really want, someone to own one of these cards so they can bring it back. Okay, let's try it. Let's give ourselves another 30 more seconds. What were you thinking? Okay, you want? Oh, you raise your hand? Okay. Okay, so we have Darren, right, who raised hand. Anyone else would want to kind of share what happened? Negative emotion? One more, okay? Okay, 2%, okay? So we are going to pass the mic to Darren first, and then how about you, okay? Okay, good.
So I need to share my beliefs, or?
Yeah, so what happened? The negative
okay.
emotion, then your belief, yeah.
So the activating event is my son cornered me or blackmailed me or somehow managed to get me to take him to play Pokemon for 1.5 hours.
Wow.
Yes. And I got a message from his teacher that he didn't do his homework.
Oh.
Okay.
And then how were you feeling?
I was angry.
At him?
I was angry at everything. I mean, he lost his Pokemon after that, and then I was angry at him for being irresponsible. He didn't know what bus number to take back to the home, and I got angry at that too. I got angry at everything.
Wow. And then how did you respond to him, when you are like so angry?
I tried to think about it, try to question myself. Why am I angry?
Okay.
Yes. Didn't really help though, so I was really angry for the whole, until the night, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And now that you have thought through it, right, did you think about what were your beliefs, what were you thinking at the point of time that led to that anger?
Oh, that I'm not a good dad, that I fear that he will be playing Pokemon for the rest of his life, and I will have to find him a job where he can play Pokemon.
And when you talk about just one more question, right? Sure. Just one more question. When you were saying that you were angry at him, I picked up the word, you felt that he was irresponsible. Yeah.
Yes.
Would you just elaborate on that belief or that thought that you have of him?
That he has not done or displayed or taken responsibility of what I think he should have done. Yes. Instead choose to give in to his what he finds pleasurable instead. Yes.
Okay, so good, right? So with that, see how all these connects is there something happen? We call it a very simple model. We actually call it the ABC model. An activating event happen, it leads to a consequent A to C, right? A consequent emotion or action that we have taken. But we usually skip the in-between step. It's the A, the B, the C. The A has been processed by the belief that we have. And I think what Darren, what you shared just now was that you felt that he was irresponsible, and because you felt that you believed that he was irresponsible, henceforth it led to, whether it's right or wrong, that's not the point, but the point is that the belief has processed an event, the A, hence leading to your consequent emotion and perhaps some action that you have taken.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So that's a simple model ABC, right? So this card game, we could actually play with friends, and we could help us to understand that there's an event that happened, led to certain emotion or action that we had taken, but it did not come out just because of an event leading to a consequent emotion or action. It has been processed by our belief. So there's another deck of cards which we didn't have time here today to play, right? Is to what belief you have, and these how these beliefs are associated with some of these negative emotions. Okay, can
That's
we pick out
beautiful.
one more,
Yeah.
just one more person from you? Because since you raised your hand, right? Would you just say your name and?
Hi, my name is Alyssa Lenny, and wait, what am I supposed to say? Like,
Yeah, what happened? You know, and what you know, your emotions or.
so basically, like a couple of weeks ago, I had like an event which me and some of my friends planned for our like school, and then I think at the third day I was in charge of publicity, so I was taking the videos and pictures, and then all of a sudden my like storage finished, and it was in the middle of the event, so I felt quite stressed, and then I went to my senior and all, like asked them what to do, and they gave me my senior's phone. But after a while, I felt like I didn't feel comfortable using her phone, so I actually like stopped and just gave back the phone and went back to the like behind the hall, and I just sat there the entire time feeling like very upset and like worthless, and then I just basically. Even when they asked me to do something, I wasn't like fast enough, and then they're like all going around, running around, and I'm just there sitting there. I felt like I feel bad for them. Yeah.
Yeah. I picked out, thanks. I picked out one word that you say. You used the word worthless.
Yeah.
What were you thinking about yourself?
Basically like because the couple of like weeks when we planned, because we actually planned this for like a couple of months already, and I was in charge of publicity, and actually I'm supposed to be in charge of everything as well. So but I was struggling to contribute because of like one of my weakness, which is actually speaking, and I wasn't able to communicate with them, and it was like it really contributes to like my feeling of worthlessness like over time. But yeah, I thought about it to my seniors after it. Yeah.
So you shared something about speaking, that you were not confident to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what belief you have around that thing? Like what belief do you have around speaking about yourself?
Because I stutter a lot. Like whenever I'm stressed, I tend to stutter, especially like in school presentations and all. Like I can be prepared before the presentation, but when I speak, it's completely off. Like I will start to stutter, and I'll just like start shaking in front of the entire class. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to dwell any further, right? But as you hear, you know, when we ask questions, it's really to help us to understand what belief that we have of ourselves. Okay, it could be, right? Because in the interest of time, it could be, you know, like people could be judging me if I say the wrong thing. I need to say the right thing, and henceforth it could add on to the stuttering problem. There could be many layers of belief, which I think in this very short time we cannot unpack this, right? But a lot of times the belief process an event that happened, you know, it's so interesting that a belief that you have of yourself to something quite unrelated. Oh, my phone ran out of storage space. But because of that belief that I have of myself, would have interpreted a very, you know, an event that could be unrelated, henceforth leading to certain emotions and the emotion of you feeling worthless. Yeah. So
That's a powerful one.
yeah. So a lot of times when we go for therapy, right, what the therapist is helping us, besides giving us the medication, okay, is to help us to understand the belief that we have of ourselves and the belief that we have of the world and the people around us. And because a lot of times it's the belief that causes us to have certain emotion and to cause us to have certain, to take certain actions. And a lot of times these actions could be counterproductive or it could lead to certain, vicious cycles. Yeah, so that's what therapy is all about. And this technique, our clinical population would experience it. It's called cognitive behavioral therapy. But we also think that such technique could also be learned by the non-clinical population. That's why we develop some of these cards.
I mean, when we are asking ourselves those questions, we are already changing the neurons and the linkages in our brain without us knowing it.
Yes.
Right? And that is so much power because it breaks us out of that spiral and instead allows us to have that conversation with ourselves and understand more about ourselves instead of living in self-blame.
Yeah.
And that's the power of, unpacking our thoughts and our emotions and understanding their beliefs.
So a lot of times, first self-awareness to understand, the belief that we hold of ourselves, and a lot of times it is difficult to argue with ourselves. It's not easy. That is why we need to have friends. We need to speak with friends, right, who could give us more constructive perspective, right? So there's always a saying, right? Choose your friends wisely because your group of friends are going to rub off either good energy on you or bad energy on you. So if you, and in the same manner, I think that if you need more constructive perspective and how you want to see the world with different perspective, you have to choose your friends wisely. Yeah. And be that good friend to someone else.
That is a good advice. Be a good friend and have good friends.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think we should give this to the people that answered to.
We have two
Can you
persons,
share?
right?
Yeah,
We have
there are
the two,
two
right?
things that...
And
share about how this can be used, every day.
Okay, so I'm going to give this to Darren, okay? Because Darren is the first person. And Alyssa, is it Alyssa? Okay, I only brought one of these and I wanted something different. This is a well-being journal. So you could actually you could actually get it on the website as well. And inside there are about over 40 validated interventions that are specially designed into this 200-page journal. So you could actually journal through some of these well-being activities, and I hope this will benefit
It's
you.
like affordable therapy.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So can I?
Please
do I give out to them? Yeah. Wow. Thanks, Darren. Thank you. And then Alyssa, thank you. Yeah.
Yay!
Okay,
And you know what? I think to wrap it up, right? Because yes, in the interest of time and you need to go back to your party.
Yes.
I want to
ready.
ask, what is something that we can do in our daily lives consistently so that we can build self-awareness and understand our beliefs?
Okay.
So that this is a tip that everyone can go home and really use it.
Yeah. We may not. So there are two things, right? We may be so caught up by the voice in our head that we are not aware of that voice in the head. So we are very caught up by the story that we tell ourselves. But rarely do we see that, we ask ourselves and be aware of what is that story we tell ourselves and whether that story can be challenged, right?
Yeah.
So I think, so there are two ways to it, right? A number of practices stop their thinking. They just put a stop to it, and we call them mindfulness practices or meditation.
meditation,
You just stop the thinking. But once you stop the thinking, right, somehow over time you create space.
It still lingers, right?
It lingers,
Yeah.
but then it creates space, and it also allows you now to be able to be more aware of it. That could work.
Like you're sort of sitting and seeing that particular feeling and emotion from a third person's perspective. You don't let it consume you that much, but you're able to see it at a distance.
Yeah, but that takes a lot of practice. Of course, the other way is to talk to someone or maybe gain the self-awareness yourself, right? To be able to think about, that belief, can I challenge that belief? Or talk to someone. It could be a friend. You do not need to see a therapist because if you are not a you're not clinically diagnosed, right?
Yeah.
And if you think that you're well enough, just talk to someone.
But it must be a good friend. It must be a friend that doesn't just give you toxic advice.
Yes.
I think one of my favorite questions I like to ask myself in terms of beliefs is, who say one?
Yeah.
So introverts can't be speakers. Who say one? You know, like I mean seriously, because when we have these beliefs in our head, where does it come from? Who says? And when you really ask yourself that, you're like, wait, that's true. Who says? Well, actually, my teacher has been saying that, or my friend has been saying that. You realize that it comes from somewhere, someone else on the media, or maybe you realize you don't know where it comes from, and hey, maybe then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then you choose to redefine those beliefs and choose the definition of what a good speaker is for yourself. By the way, you just spoke in a crowd full of like 60 people, so.
Yeah, you did it.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised. But yeah, so like redefining what being a good speaker is, redefining what being a good parent is, redefining all these things, because usually those beliefs that we shame ourselves, it is warped and interpreted, inherited by other people that told us those things.
Yeah. And in fact, if anyone were to, just a bit of the science, right? Seligman actually wrote in his book that there are three places, there are three ways our mindset, our belief are formed. The first one are, okay, make a guess, mother or father?
I'm guessing mother.
Mother.
Because mother's womb.
Mother.
Yeah.
Mother. And because mother being a primary caregiver, right? A lot of times our belief come from mother first. Okay? Then the second group of people are significant adults. That would involve father, that could involve teachers, that could involve, like a role model. So as we grow up in life, right? Mother first will shape the belief that we have. Second, significant adults. The third is life crisis. As we go through life crisis, it could be bullying, as we heard from Sharon.
Yeah.
It could be something that happened, and that begin to shape the belief that we have.
Yeah,
So
with this
be mindful.
understanding, thanks so much, Simon, for sharing
Yeah.
that, especially with your background in positive psychology. It's so powerful to know that from an expert, because now you know that when you feel like shit, and it's because of a belief that feeling passes through, the beliefs are inherited from people around you. And no one is to blame, because we go through so many life crises. I mean, we only have one mom, but there's so many significant adults in our life, mentors, teachers, friends, bullies.
Yeah.
And all of these people create the beliefs that we have. But the good news is that we can change our beliefs,
Yes.
scientifically so.
Yes.
We can
yes.
change our beliefs
Yes.
There's a neuroscience behind it, right?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can. We can change our belief. And more importantly, I'm just very cautious that I mentioned mother, right? So please go back and be kind. Okay, please don't go back and let's take this kind and unpack with your mom. Mom, do you know why I have all these beliefs? It's really because of you. Then that would be a bit of a drama there. Or even though as Sharon has actually shared, right? Just like I saw there's one question for Sharon. How much of your thought and how much of your parents have kind of like passed on some of these vibes to her, but I'm not sure whether she picked up that, but I saw it. But more importantly, right, I think one generation of pain usually get passed on to the next generation. And
It's called generational trauma.
yeah, and with our self-awareness, right, we can actually break that vicious cycle. And it just have to begin with us and not our parent, because we cannot go back and change things that have happened in the past, but it begins with us. We can actually break this vicious cycle.
I like that. And I think that you said something in a funny way, but very important, to not blame anyone. It is seriously important, right? Ultimately, everyone is doing the best they can with what they know. And our parents parent us a certain way based on what they know. Like, everyone is a parent for the first time. You don't get to, trial parent, like you have a child and you parent for the first time. Yeah. So they're doing the best they can. And I think it's so important, as you mentioned, to not blame, but instead take ownership in ending that trauma and be self-aware by doing the thing that you mentioned, the ABC, understanding your beliefs, doing journaling, speaking to a friend, whatever it takes for you to break out of that spiral and instead grow your self-awareness. Thank you so much, Simon.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Oh, there's a hand raised. First
okay,
question.
Then that's the only question we can have. What's the first question? Okay, can you say it out?
Can I say? Okay.
'Cause
Do you think it's necessary to actually go traveling to gain experiences for yourself, or is it possible to learn from others by listening to their stories?
You answered the question yourself.
Okay.
Right? No, I'm kidding.
So for me, right, I'm a big fan, and that is a research area that I love to do, right? I think that speaking to people will help, but particularly I think for my case, my own experience was that because there were a lot of triggers back in Singapore that I think, even though I speak to friends, right, there were many friends that journeyed through with me for that few months. But it didn't quite help because everywhere I go, right, there were those triggers that came back up. So for me, it's a personal experience. I'm not speaking as an expert. So what I did that helped was when I traveled overseas, because language was different, people that you talk to were totally different and they do not understand, our culture, and that helped for me. So I think it really depends on the intensity.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, thanks for sharing from your experience. I feel like based on mine, travel did help, but other things that could help is try to go into a different club or society, join a CCA, join a different association, people that are strangers. So you actually break away from people that you know and you meet people that you don't know. I think that is as close as you can get from traveling, but not really.
Okay.
Other than that, go to JB.
Okay, club. Okay. Do
No,
you
no,
mean
I
the
don't mean,
club?
Wait,
that,
I don't mean
no.
that club. I mean,
I know you didn't mean that club. I know.
societies.
Yeah. Club and society.
okay.
Yes. Wow.
Join a
She was
party, like a wholesome party. Well, this random spurts of laughter is making me off. Okay, thank you so much,
Yeah, you're
Simon,
most
for bringing a
welcome.
party to us.
Yeah, thank you,
You know?
thank you. Yeah.
think we had a lot of fun.
See you downstairs, okay? Yeah, that's our second part downstairs. We can have more conversation there, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Simon.
Thank you.
Thanks for giving us really
Okay.
practical tips and a laugh, and we'll
Yeah.
join you for the party later.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
What a blast!